What would you get if you sat Agatha Christie down, shot her full of ketamine, and forced her to watch a 24/7 marathon of Thomas the Tank Engine? Probably the worst headache of your life, but also, maybe somehow you'll get a surprisingly enjoyable piece of Hollywood commercialism. That, my friends, is Bullet Train. So grab your soju, wasabi peas, and a handful of Tylenol. You're gonna need it. Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot. My name is Brandon, and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2022 action comedy Bullet Train. But before I do that, I hope you brought your anti-venom because it's time to feel the bite of this fruit-forward Japanese whiskey cocktail I've named the Boomslang. And hey, if you're a fan of movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Helps out the channel a lot. I love it when movies make it easy for me and make it apparent what kind of ingredients I'm going to be using for my drink. However, this may be a first where there's characters actually named after the ingredients. Bullet Train is full of colorful characters, but perhaps none more entertaining than the mercenary brothers codenamed Tangerine and Lemon. Two flavors that naturally pair well together, which I'm also going to be pairing with a bit of subtle richness from some Plum Brandy. There's a whole metaphor about plums and a farmer that I don't really remember the point of, but all I heard was, hey, another ingredient. To tie it all together, I've opted to use Japanese whiskey as the base. The cocktail is balanced nicely with a pleasant fruit flavor at the front, followed by a bit of sourness and bitterness from the back, giving it a noticeable bite akin to the drink's namesake, the Boomslang. It's a highly venomous snake that plays a pivotal role in the story when it becomes loose on the train. Don't tell Sam Jackson. All right, let's go ahead and start with our first character name that happens to be an ingredient. We're gonna start with our Tangerine Juice. You can either squeeze this fresh yourself, which I highly recommend. You can cut it a little bit with water too, because sometimes these juices, when you do it fresh, they can be sometimes overly sweet, sometimes overly bitter. And if you have acid reflux like me, it really makes your life worse. So cutting it with water definitely helps a little bit. We are gonna do 1 ounce of the Tangerine Juice. Next is our second character name that happens to be an ingredient, lemon. Again, you wanna juice your lemons fresh. You don't wanna get that bottled stuff. This is a lot more easier to find than a tangerine, so I highly recommend if you're ever using lemon or lime juice, juice it yourself. There's no need not to. We're gonna do 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. So now moving into our alcohol, we are gonna start with our main player, which is going to be our Japanese whiskey. If you've never had Japanese whiskey before, it's a bit more oaky, a bit more smoother than American whiskey. It's a bit of a velvety kind of texture. I feel like I get a lot more of the wood barrels in the Japanese whiskey than I do in, say, a bourbon or a rye. But it's pretty good. There's a couple different brands you can try. I'm still kind of new, so I don't really know what the best ones are. But if you're not looking to break the bank, I'm going with Sadashi. It was about 30 bucks, and it's pretty good quality. So we are gonna do 1.5 ounces of our Japanese whiskey. And next is our Plum Brandy. And I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm not really a big fan of the taste of plums, especially kind of in this brandy. However, there is a certain richness, a certain dessertiness that kind of comes with it. You almost get a little bit of hint of vanilla, very akin to kind of like a pie or a cake or something like that. And when it's mixed with the rest of the ingredients here, it kind of takes more of a back seat, but you still kind of get that dessertiness of it. So that's why I'm gonna be including it in here. We're gonna do 1 ounce of the Plum Brandy. And now to top it off, we're gonna be doing 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. This is gonna basically help give it a little bit more of a bite on that back end like I was talking about. Let's throw some ice in here and go ahead and shake. And now we are going to be straining this into a coupe glass. I highly recommend you chill the glass beforehand just because we're not transferring the ice over into it. This will just help it keep it cool a little bit longer. So now we have our drink, but I think we still need a garnish, and I thought it'd be a little cool to make it a little bit classy with a nice little lemon twist. Also, a lemon twist kind of looks like a snake, and this is named after a snake, so it kind of goes hand in hand. If you do not have a fruit peeler, or you are bad at peeling fruit in general, both of these apply to me right now, there is a bit of a little trick you can do to get a nice little lemon twist, and that involves kind of cutting into the lemon and peeling off the skin. So I'm gonna show you how to do that real quick. Basically, you just need a wheel of a lemon. Doesn't have to be super, super thick. And then you just make a small little incision. And now you're basically just going to want to cut around the lemon. So not too bad. So this white little bit that you'll see under there. That's called the pith. And that is a bit more bitter of a taste, and if you're not a big fan of it, you can scrape that off. And we'll try to do that just a little bit. Just want to give it a nice little twist. Express some of those oils that are on the skin just right above it. And there you go. There is the Boomslang. So yeah, there's the Boomslang. Let's go ahead and give it a taste test. So my biggest fear when I was making this was that the tangerine juice was going to be too powerful for this drink, that it was just going to kind of push out all the other flavors, especially from like the whiskey and the Angostura and the plum. But that's not the case really here. It is very light, very tangerine-y. However, you still kind of get that woodiness of the whiskey right underneath it. That Angostura bitters does come in a lot too, kind of shifting the flavor a little bit more to the bitter side in a pleasant way. The plum is ever so slightly there. You still get kind of that underlying richness that comes with it, but it's not overpowering it, which is great for me. And of course, like the lemon that's in there makes it nice and sweet. And yeah, on that back end, you do get a lot more of the alcohol content, which is very nice because I think what most people's issues with drinking alcohol is it's too much alcohol up at front, and that kind of ruins it for them. This is a very nice, very easy entry, but then you get the flavors of the harder stuff, which I think a lot of people will enjoy. So yeah, this is very refreshing, very light, but still quite boozy, so I think a lot of people will like this one. Now that we have our drink, let's hop right into the review of Bullet Train. In a world filled with uninspired blockbusters capitalizing on cheap thrills and movie star recognizability, it's nice to see someone at least attempt a semi-original idea with all the backing and gusto of the usual suspects. Bullet Train is successful as a big, loud, vulgar action flick that doesn't ask for too much in return. It has a certain sheen, a certain approachability that makes it easy to enjoy. However, there are some elements it borrows from its contemporaries that hinders it in my opinion, as well as attempting to borrow from films that may have had a bit more thought put into them. The film features a colorful ensemble of murderous assassins and ruffians that are certainly the highlight of the film. Brad Pitt's Ladybug, named ironically because he's super unlucky, is just trying to have a positive outlook on life while the entire world seems dead set on killing him. And I mean, it's Brad Pitt. His charm is pretty much all you ever need from him. Then there's the mercenary brothers, Tangerine and Lemon, portrayed by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry respectively, whose bickering bond is a tad touching and provides a good amount of laughs. Tangerine is the short-tempered de facto leader, while Lemon is a good reader of people, which he attributes to his many hours of watching Thomas the Tank Engine. And buckle up too, because they mention Thomas a lot. Like a lot. I was even pleasantly happy with performances from Joey King and Bad Bunny, two actors I never really had strong opinions on. The performances are definitely solid, even though the words they're given aren't always funny. Man, the comedy here is very hit or miss, especially near the beginning. Occasionally, we get some genuinely funny lines that are made even more funny thanks to some clever editing or camera work, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't a lot of jokes or lines that fall completely flat. The writing is done in such a fast-paced, smarmy way akin to Guy Ritchie, Shane Black, or Edgar Wright, often not managing to be as whip-smart, just kind of on the same tempo. The action can go either way as well, with some pretty fun choreographed scenes that make great use of anything and everything in the vicinity. As the film progresses, a bit more special effects and green screen begin to enter the fray, and it does dampen some of these fight scenes with the obvious under-polished effects and uneven lighting. The pacing at least manages to be as fast as the titular locomotive for the most part, although the story sometimes gets slowed down due to overly long flashbacks and expository dumps. Bad Bunny's character, the Wolf, is cool, but I don't necessarily think we need a flashback detailing his entire life story. Aside from that though, the pacing does manage to be relatively fast, accompanying a surprisingly tight and intricate story, with a lot of twists and turns and whodunits. The film even has a kind of a message about how we handle bad luck in our lives, and really, that's enough. I actually enjoy this a lot more than I thought I would despite its shortcomings. The neon Tokyo aesthetic is certainly enticing, and it's hard to turn away from such a star-studded cast, with a few celebrity cameos I actually didn't hate. It's certainly still an example of Hollywood commercialism, but sometimes we can have a little fun with it. For my rating, I'm giving this film 3 ladybugs out of 5. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Martini Shot. If you saw Bullet Train, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you like movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.